Hi, and welcome back to my channel. I am the Art Whisperer, and on this channel, I like to discuss art interpretation and its connection to current day life. Now, I do hold a BA in art history, Byzantine studies, and it's awesome. But this is for entertainment purposes only, so let's have some fun. This week's piece is called The Brimfield Windmill. Now, there's no date to the piece, so I'm just assuming it's today, but it is a current day piece. And it is by the artist that calls himself My Love Studios. It's something that I discovered while on Instagram, and I tell you, I was captivated immediately. Normally, I cover an art history piece, and then I bring it to something that's happening today that we can kind of relate the two, bring it all together in a lovely little marriage. But I decided to flip it around, and I'm gonna do a piece today and connect it to something that happened in history. A beautiful image of something simple, a windmill. A windmill in Brimfield, Massachusetts. Now with this windmill piece, you can see the Impressionist style. What is Impressionism? Impressionism is simply a movement that started in France about the late 1800s, and the father of Impressionism, they say, is Monet. Impressionism is the visual impression and emotion of an image that you're seeing right then and there. I have a little theory, and my little theory is, did Monet intentionally create Impressionism? Or was one day he was out there and he's like, you know what, I'm gonna paint something. And he either had a nervous attack or too much caffeine, and as he was starting to paint, he was all like this, because Impressionism has those very short, fast kind of brush strokes. So he's just painting like this, and while he's painting like this, somebody comes along and it's like, oh my God, that is beautiful. And Monet just kind of went with it. He's like, oh yeah, I did this purposely, and the reason I did was because I wanted to capture blah, 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 blah. So I wonder if that could be the reason why Impressionism totally took off as a movement. What is also fantastic is the lack of information about this artist, My Love Studio. I mean, there's nothing in his bio, really. And if you go on his Instagram page, again, I link it down below, you can see that he also has an Etsy page. But there is no information in his bio. So we're going to speculate, because you know that I love to speculate. This man of mystery apparently is a resident of Brimfield, and a very talented one at that. Now this artist, there's a little image of him, and I'm gonna put it on the screen, so I'm sorry if it's not that great a quality, but you can see by the image of him that this artist has seen his art days. When it came to his paintings, he has some emotion there. He has it behind his eyes. And I love that, because to me, that only means one thing. He is not an artist to appease people. He is an artist who is true to the craft. He does it because it is a passion. He does it because it is the way to represent his emotions and thoughts and himself to the world, or at least I like to think that's what it means. I can imagine that he's living in this town, and every day he's going towards this windmill with his art box, and he's painting and everything. And to me, that means this man of mystery might know more than what you think. Now, this man from Brimfield captured probably the symbol of the town. This town is so small, I'm talking that this town has one light. And if you drive too fast, you pass the town. But it's a beautiful little town. It is tucked in the sweet, little hills of the mountain ranges of Massachusetts. And it's not like those creepy small towns tucked in the mountains somewhere with these creepy backwoods people. The people, the blue fugates, Fugates. I'm totally butchering that last name. But the blue people from Kentucky, okay? Now, from a small town, totally creepy and just as fascinating in my opinion. You should totally Google it. This town isn't like that. But what this town is like is small, quaint, and booming 3 times a year. It has New England's largest outdoor antique market. And let me tell you, I have been there. And it is like a sea of just booths and tables and antique junk and collectibles and wonderful pilgrim sandwiches. And I tell you, for like $15, those things are delicious. But while I was there visiting, I never noticed this windmill. And I feel sorry for saying I never noticed it. But you know, I tend to not notice a lot of things. I mean, I loved this shirt online, so I ordered it and it came and I was so excited, and it was one of those that you can't return. So then when I looked up close to it, they're not horses. You see, they're not horses. They're unicorns. I don't like unicorns. So now I'm like stuck with it. And now I feel bad that I missed this windmill, because I would have loved to have seen it in person. So now I'm forced to do this and just admire it through a beautiful piece. And you know what? I think I'd rather do this, because then I can sort of absorb more than if I was there, because I'm not really an outdoorsy kind of person. But this beautiful windmill, as you can see, is right across a little bridge. One side seems magical, like a dawning of a new day, and then the other side, not so much. I mean, you have the beautiful colors. You have the windmill, like I said. You also have that little footbridge, you know, the little creek in between, one side with more color than the other. And you also have this barn or house nestled in the background. Now, this windmill was actually built between the mid and late 1800s on the property of John Wiles, a former senator. He built this so that it could give running water to the 3rd floor in his house, which, you know, was huge back then. I mean, talk about luxurious. And now the property is St. Christopher's Rectory. This windmill, obviously being so old, took a beating, okay? Talk about the harsh New England winters beating down on this thing without any TLC. And they started this restoration project. And they restored this beautiful, old, dilapidated windmill. I'm assuming it's dilapidated just by looking at the photos. And they brought it back to its glory that you can see today and that you can see in this piece. Take a closer look here, where on one side of that bridge to Terabithia, you have all this greenery, and it's beautiful greenery. I mean, it's not like all dark and dreary and, you know, ominous of any kind, but it is just simple. It is plain green trees, green grass, nothing fancy, nothing happening, you know. And if you can see a little closer how there seems to be a shadow effect on that side of the painting. It doesn't seem to be as bright. Now, if you go across the bridge on the other side where the windmill is, take a good look at that windmill. One side of it, the one facing the, you know, the plain kind of landscape, just basic trees and everything. Across the bridge of Terabithia, look back at the windmill. You'll see on one side of the windmill that shadow is cast, and that on that particular side you can see that maybe that represents the past. But if you look on the other side of the windmill, you can see that it's on the side with the big beautiful trees that have the lovely red color to it, and it's just fantastic. And then behind it, still on that side of the stream, you've got that little house, barn, restaurant, whatever's there. Which side of the bridge would you want to be on? Would you want to be on the restored side, what we see today. What is there right now that you can go with your canvas and your paints and paintbrush and sit there, a lovely little picnic, again, pilgrim sandwich, and paint this another beautiful impressionist piece of this gorgeous windmill? Or would you want to be on the other side of the bridge back then? You know, I kind of wish that I would go back then to when it was first built. And then I think, well, they didn't have deodorant back then. Like if it was built in 1840, because it's like guesstimated between 1840 and like 1870. Yeah, people smelled. I'm sorry, I'm just saying it. We all think it. There was no AC, and in the summertime, I'm sorry, I would not want to be around. I would not be happy. I would be snooty, and I get that, okay? First world problem, first one to admit it. But I would at least like to attempt it for a couple hours. And then, of course, I'd jump back on the other beautiful side with the big, beautiful red trees. And I can imagine sitting under those trees with a book and reading and enjoying the open air. And I see that in this piece, and I wonder if that is what the artist was trying to convey, that going outdoors, seeing these little structures that are famous to just the people that are there, and enjoying yourself and relaxing, because the world has gone crazy, okay? And we all need a little TLC, just like this windmill. And I think the artist took advantage of being able to do that, and now is showing it to the world to remind us that we need to do something similar, to sit back, to find a place that's beautiful and capture it, if not on canvas, then maybe just in our own minds and in our hearts. And when we get up and we walk away, we carry that beauty with us. I know if I was there, I want to carry those beautiful, big, luscious trees with me. I mean, how beautiful are they? Don't you just want to have some planted in your backyard? I totally would. But you tell me what you think. Do you think that the artist My Love Studio was trying to represent both the past and the present in this piece? What emotions do you think he was trying to capture with this impressionist style? Did you stop this video to go and Google who the blue people from Kentucky are? Let me know. Put it in the comments down below. And don't forget, I will link My Love Studio information down below. Hit that like, give a thumbs up, subscribe, and come back next week to see what piece I choose here on The Art Whisperer.